So, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Hawkeye live trade session with Auvoria Prime. Today is November 30th, the last day of the month. So be aware, it's a Monday morning and it's also the last day of the month. Tomorrow's going to be the first day of the next month. So we could have some interesting volatility today as people are closing out trades and taking profits and setting up new positions for December. So trading the foreign exchange on margin carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. The high degree of leverage can work against you as well as for you. Before deciding on investing in foreign exchange, you should carefully consider your investment objective, level of experience, and risk appetite. The possibility exists that you could sustain a loss of some or all of your initial investment, and therefore you should not invest money that you cannot afford to lose. You should be aware of all the risks associated with the foreign exchange trading and seek advice from an independent financial advisor if you have any doubts. Again, this is Monday morning, November 30th. We're going to be going till about 9:30 this morning. This is a live trading room. It is for educational purposes only. No financial advice or recommendation will be provided. Any trade taken during the live session is not a recommendation or a suggestion that you should also do the same. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Do not trade money that you cannot afford to lose. Before trading live, always operate with a written trade plan that identifies the rules for entries, exits, targets, and risk management. And with that, we're going to go to the USD Swiss chart. We had an alert at 7:45. It is an ascending wedge. And so let me switch screens here. And we will be looking at that one. I have this thing drawn out, 15-minute chart. Alert was at 7:45. It was an ascending wedge. So I just sort of drew it with both the upper trend and the bottom trend going in the same directions, ascending to the upper right-hand side of the chart. Looking at the higher time frame, actually a couple of things. One, we have a RSIs are coming up here. The 3-period RSI is at the 89. The 8-period RSI is coming up on the 75. Right now I'd be looking more for a possibility of a short. We may get a head fake as this looks like it's doing right now. But we have a higher time frame trend. This thing is trending to the downside. It's just coming up testing the 30-period 62. And if we go back to, I'll go back to 1-hour chart, you can see where we had a high back on the 25th. And this thing is on a relatively steep descending slope. And right now it's somewhat in a channel to the downside. And right now it's testing the upper part of that channel. So I'd be looking at a short and possibly coming down to the bottom of the trend, for the bottom trend. So right now I'd say this thing's running in a channel. And it broke out of the channel to the downside, head fake to the downside, came back up. So right now this is our new channel that I'm looking at.
I like how you drew the channel so that you could visually see where we could potentially get the sell.
Right. And if we get the sell up here at the,
right.
Are we looking at this sell up in here? If we can get bounced off of this upper trend line, and then our target's going to be down here at the lower trend line and anywhere else in between. That's on a 1-hour chart. Looking at it at 15-minute, you can see how it's trending. And this is a nice little channel. There's a lot of room here.
It's good.
Between here and here, we've got 40 pips, so that's a reasonable target. But I would wait till if we get confirmation to either a break out of the bottom or come up here and retest the top of the upper channel. Right now it's bouncing off the 30-minute 62, which is a strong point where it will could have a bounce. Looking at our fib lines, I'm going to put our fib lines on the 15-minute chart. We see we have a green fib line, which is right where this alert came in, broke off of that. We have a higher time frame fib line. This is the green 15-minute. I'm going to go and put it on the 5-minute fibs. This gives us the 21 pip spans in between. And you're going to see that right now, we're just coming over off of a 5-minute blue, and we have a green. So right here is 21 pip in between. So from there to there it should be about 21 pips, and it is pretty close. And so this is the area that we're looking at, looking for it to break. If it can come up and test at 30, and if it can break through the bottom, which is going to be pretty much right about the bottom of the channel, then we have a shot for the short to the downside. If it breaks to the top, I'm looking at this being a trap up to the top trend line. And if it can come up and give us a little head fake, give us a little punch up around in here, may test the green fib line, in which case then we'd be looking at a short on that rejection of that. Until then, we're going to sit on our hands and we're not going to do anything. We'll fine tune our wedge. So
I got a couple things I threw on the wedge.
Okay.
I went back and kind of did a pitchfork on the previous swing. It was actually a pretty big swing. And I just shared a screenshot in the chat for people to kind of see what I was looking at. Maybe it'll.
Let me go and put that on here, and maybe you can explain what you got here.
Yeah. I did it real quick though. So what we got here is we've got a pitchfork, so kind of similar to the channel that Al drew. There's a lot of Fibonacci in the pitchfork itself, so it's not perfectly tuned. I did it really quick. I'm thinking I might adjust it again to see if I can get a better.
I'll tell you what, Matt, why don't you go ahead and adjust it, maybe spread the bars out a little bit so we can see a little bit clearer, and then we'll come back when you do that. How's that?
Yeah, that'll be a plan. All right. Let me line that up.
Okay. Meanwhile, we'll come back here to where we started with this. We're going to tune this, get these as tight as we can. We have the 15, 5, and 1 minute charts that we're looking at. You did see it did break out of the top of the wedge, but you see it. So this blue line right here, that's our 30-minute 62, and then we have that on all three charts. That's going to be a major area, and you only have about 10 pips to the top of the wedge. I just let it go and let it maneuver up that way, and see if it might even give us another little mini wedge to come back and to retest the top of the wedge, but then also break down. I said if it breaks to the top of this, it could go up a lot higher, but right now that would not be in my game plan. If it does, we'll reassess that at the time. But I said I'd like to see more than just a 7 or 10 pip move to where the most I can get out of a trade. You can maybe get a couple pips out of it, but you get done paying your spreads and you get done paying your the slippage on your entry. It's just it's not a real strong trade. No, your RSIs are up here at the top of the 75. And I say if you can get these come up and start getting a hook, maybe possibly get the on the 5-minute chart, see the blue moving average cross below, and both the orange and the blue start pointing down. After the blue and cross the orange, that would be an indication of a short. That's one indication, and the other indication would be when you get the moving averages on your 1-minute chart to the green to cross the yellow and to get all those moving in the right direction. Right now you have the 62 on the 1 minute. It's pretty far below. Even if you get the cross here, you can be looking at this as being a target. So I still wouldn't, and you could possibly maybe measure and see how much room you have with that for a possible short at the top. Right now, even if it did it right now, you'd only have 5 pips. You'd be lucky to get profitable just with your spread on that. So wait for this one to come on up a little bit closer, get a little more consolidation, have them consolidate right around this area right in here. This would be one area of consolidation. The other area would be up top here, where we could see a possibility where it's going to retest this upper trend line. And that's going to be probably over this area right here. So we'll just kind of keep an eye on this. And we can get back to it as things get a little bit clearer.
Yeah, so I just I recalibrated just the fork. I don't know if I did my wedge 100%, so I'm gonna have to adjust it. I liked your wedge really nicely. My wedge, I struggled with it. What What did yours look like?
Here's mine.
It's because I've got mine very. Excuse me. Oh, you went back further.
Actually, I think I do this on two different charts. So let me put it right about there. I would use this one right here.
Is that the wake
We
you would
have the
use?
anchor. Here's a hit. Here's the where the alert came in. Here's an anchor. Here's a hit. And then we'd be waiting for the third hit on the bottom
Yeah.
of this trend line right
Oh,
here.
I got it. Okay, yeah. Because it broke the wedge and then comes
and we
up.
broke it right. I mean, we had the alert. It pretty much broke it right at the alert. But again, I don't. It didn't give any it didn't give the confirmation to me that that I would be looking for. And then we are getting a 13 period on the 15-minute chart. This is somewhat significant when you get the 13 crossing over the 62 and everything's moving in the right direction. This could have a little bit of a nice little push to the upside.
Yeah.
And it's a good chance it's going to come up and retest this green fib line. That's a 5-minute fib line. And but that will be a significant area. And but right now you're right in the middle between the blue and the if you draw your fib line range from the green to the blue, you're going to see that we're pretty much right in the middle of that range. I would like to see it get up into this green area, give us a little hook, give us a reason to go short, and then take the short from there with a very small stop up to the top side.
Yep. That's what I would like too.
So that's what I would be looking for. And the thing is, right now you've got the RSIs coming up to reconfirm it. When that comes up, hooks. By that time, it could be up here. This would be the trade, I think, if it comes up into this area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a trend line across this wedge area as a little bit of an alert, right at the bottom of this third zone. And we'll go on to look at the Aussie US, which was an alert we had earlier today. And let's see, we're going to go put, let's use this as yellow reference. And we're going to put an alert on this. And if it crosses, it will get a little thing that flags it and tells us that something's happening there. Okay. So next thing we go to is the Aussie US. So I'm going to duplicate this. We'll see how that one played out. It may still be in play depending on where it is. And I'll go over here to the Aussie USD. And that was a ascending wedge at 6:45 this morning. I'm going to go to 6:45. That was the alert. It was ascending. So we're going to be going from low to high. Now that we have a nice little consolidation, you can see that this thing is actually, if you're looking at the overall trend, you can see where, if you follow the 30-minute trend, 30-minute 62, that gives you a pretty good idea what the trend is. And it is going a little bit from low to high. We do have I'm going to use this as a starting point.
We got another alert, eh?
Did we just get one?
Yeah.
We sure did, US CAD. Let's take a look at the US CAD right now, since that's the most fresh one. This one might be already past prime here.
Yeah, you're gonna want to be acting pretty quickly on US CAD. It's overall on the 4-hour chart, it's got a very big, strong downtrend.
And so we're going to be on 15-minute US CAD. Now we have to see the RSIs are coming down, so this thing could come down and hook to the upside, but we're going to take a peek and see how this thing draws out. We have a descending channel.
Yeah.
And so this is going to be, if we're looking at descending, we're going to take it from up here. It's almost a square, almost a box here, from here to here to here to here. Here's the bottom of the wedge. It's starting to break out. I'd like to see it break through the B. And if it does that, let's see where the target would be if it breaks the B area. Well, there's nothing over here for a while. Ooh, look at that.
Yep.
This could be the testing. This could be the retest right down here.
Yeah, that's
a target.
That's what I'm seeing.
It's got a lot of ways to the downside here.
Well, it's got it's got like a 50 pip 4-hour candle right now, and it's just straight down.
We have all of our moving averages on this. Here's the 30, the 15. There's all the 15-minute chart. All of them are in the right direction. We have a break at the bottom of the wedge, which is right where we got the alert, pretty much. What time was this alert? At 8 o'clock?
Right, like 8:15.
8:15. I need to mark that.
I think I'm gonna jump in as a short right now.
Okay. Let's see. 8:15. There we go.
Yeah.
Everything
So
I'm going to tuck this thing in right over here to where we at the bottom where we got the alert. This is the break of the bottom of the wedge. That seems to be the case with a lot of these wedge alerts anymore. They have pretty much happened almost right away.
They're moving really quick. My stop, I'm gonna put it 1.2960, I think.
Let me reset. Let me mark the B because it's going to have to bounce through this B. It's going to have to bounce through this part. See if it's going to close below the B. We've got a wick down. Let me see what else we got over here.
Where's the stick on that one?
On this
actually
one?
Yeah.
That's good. I would put the stick on
stick to the downside. I mean, that's a very high probability that's going to hit the stick and more, but I mean, we're already breaking that low.
I like drawing it from the middle to wherever the middle of the wedge is. Give me be a little more conservative. If it breaks right here, here's be the target. And target wise, we have from where it is right now to the target at 7 pips. It would have to come and break that. I like to see a little bit of a pullback before I jumped into this thing. We have what time is it now? We have 1 more minute and we're going to get this 5-minute candle to close. That'll be a nice little sign. Yeah, I like the pressure to the downside on this one.
1.29. What's your stick? 93?
29.43 is the bottom of the stick.
Yeah.
So let me go and slide this up a little bit. Let's see how we can do with this. Yeah, this looks like good for me. Decent. This looks like a pretty decent trade, possibly.
We're getting the pullback here.
Here's let me get my charts. Let me get my demo trading account. This is my demo trading account.
Exactly like you said, Al. You're looking for that pullback right to the wedge.
Yep. Here's the pullback.
Let's see how big of a pullback we're going to get.
I'd like to see this RSI, this blue RSI, come on up as high as you can get it before we can jump into this thing. If you can see this blue one come on up to the middle area or the 89 area and get a hook. This is a 5-minute chart. Let's go to a 1-minute chart, see what we have with our moving averages are all in the right direction. We have the 62, the 13, the 5. We have the RSIs pulling up, coming up. The 8, the blue 3 period is coming up into the 75 area.
Check for a bounce on the 1 minute 62.
Check for a bounce.
It's going to be right at the wedge. Look at that, eh? Isn't that ironic?
And we could just swing the bat with this and take a profit, take a stop, sell, market, and well, you could do a market order right here, or you could wait for it to hook back and see if you can get a red candle. On the first red candle, take it on the red candle. I would wait just a little bit still.
Yeah, you don't want to
I'd
be.
like to see this 1 minute candle close back outside the wedge.
Yeah. Excuse me, I got in a little early.
So with the sell, you could do a sell stop right now at the bottom of this blue candle at 29.53. So sell stop at 29.53, sell it, market. And 7 pip target would be, if we get in, this will control your entry. It's got to wait for it to come to you. We did get the close back inside the wedge.
Oh, here we go. I might get head faked.
This is why I don't like taking it with a blue candle. I like to see a red candle before I take it short. I like to see a blue candle before I take it long. But we are coming up here. Let's just see what happens. Let's watch these RSIs and see if we can get this blue one to cross over the orange 8 period.
Excuse me.
I still think we're good for, okay, we're in this trade.
That was a nice pullback, Al. That was a really
nice
pullback.
That was a really strong pullback. And I say you can probably put your stop at the upper part of the, I put it on the other side of the wedge, see, and that gives you 6 pips. That's a 7 pip stop. That's not too bad. That's comfortable. We have our 7 pip target down here, I believe. Make it 7 pips. Let's go with 12. Go for 12 in case we can get a little bit more out of this one. So 12 pips is all the way down here. And let's see, we got in on this at price of 53. 7 pips would be to 46. I'll mark a target at 46. And we'll see what happens. I like the hook here. Now, one thing I don't like is the fact it came back down to this 8 and just hooked back up again. I want to see. I'd like to see a cross. We do have the moving. We're watching these moving averages on this 1 minute. We do have a little bit of a trend coming down. If it breaks and closes above this trend line, we may want to get out of this and reassess. But right now, this is still looking at like a good trade to me. We'll tweak this triangle here a little bit. And we can be looking at this as being a trap, possibly. You don't want to be buying where everybody else is selling. And that's where these traps are. And people get in, they start buying right into it, and that's where a lot of times we say, "Oh, we just got stopped out." But I'd like to give my stop a little bit more room, just so we can stay on the other side of that area where it could possibly just knock you out, only to turn around. Nothing I hate more is to be stopped out just stopped out right at the peak of where you would best want to be getting into the other direction.
Yeah, exactly. Because it likes to snake its way out a little bit and then turn right around. And we've seen it happen way too often, eh, Al? It just knocks you out by like 2 pips sometimes, 1 pip, and then just takes
And
off to the
then it takes
downside.
off and takes off. And the thing is, you have a little bit of a drawdown. I mean, I think this was a reasonable trade. We came in, it came up, came back out, closed out, closed out outside the wedge. Still hasn't broken through this area, but it was with
Here we
the
go.
A. You can see that on the 5 minute chart, it didn't close on the 5 minute candle. I don't believe. Let me see.
Uh,
Actually, it did. It did on the
yeah,
5 minute. I
on
know
the
it did. Yeah.
outside, but I don't like it. I liked it originally. I liked the picture when I drew it and I took the trade. It looked really nice. I did take a second position. I'm using smaller lot sizes, uh, but I took two positions. I took one at my original entry, and I've got like a 15 pip stop loss, and then I have another one when it started coming back down. I put another position in there as well.
Two things I like about this one. One, I like the fact that this 5 minute candle closed below the B line. Also like it that the blue candle came back up into the wedge, retested the wedge, but could not close back into the wedge. And this is the second time it has two attempts to break through the wedge on the other side, and both times it got rejected right at this trend line. And we're starting to get, if we can get this blue RSI to cross below and get below this 40 area, I think we should be, that should be a good, right now we're just where we got filled in.
Bingo.
Remember, we controlled our entry. We controlled our entry to have it come to us. We got us in, and right now we're about break even. And it really didn't go that far against us so far. If we got in right here and the top of it was right here, you're only talking 3 pips. It went three less than 5 pips against you. And so, I mean, that doesn't mean it's not going to, but for right now, it's looking still pretty good. That's still a relatively good risk reward ratio that we were looking at. And as we go further across the chart, we can start dropping this thing down a little bit more and more. As long as we don't get this trap's going to get a little bit bigger as we go down and to the right, but that's just going to protect us a little bit more with even less of a stop. So again, the stop is out of harm's way. We should be out of this trade. If it goes against us, we should be out of the trade before we ever get stopped out.
Yeah, looks like the picture changed.
It's actually boating a wedge right here.
Yeah.
This could be a drop, a base, another drop. The other concern would be is that here's our target area. This was our target that we were looking at for this on a daily chart, where this is the bottom. And so this thing could still, and if you look at that daily chart, it's probably pretty much all wick there. Let's go 3 hour chart here. We had to
If it
go.
comes, Al, if it comes back up and if it breaks where the top of all those wicks are, I'm exiting the positions.
Okay. Let's see. Here's where this is actually the area. We can spread this out a little bit here. We can see where the wick on this is. This is on a 15-minute chart. These are all wicks right in here. So I would say that we have this zone is pretty much where we are. Let's keep spreading it out. You can see where the, actually, let's see, here would be the top of the red candle right here. We use that for, this would be the, basically this will be the demand zone. We'll call it the demand zone down here. And it's right about where I have my 12 pip profit target being.
So I closed out one of my positions in slush. I was just, it didn't move as fast as I wanted on the downside, so I'll just cut my risk in half.
Okay. Managing the trade.
Yeah, of course. So we'll see what happens with this candle. I just didn't, just something felt off. I didn't like how wicky that currency pair is right where we're at. There's a lot of big wicks. You know, the wick is size of the previous candle, and
Let's see what it looks like on a 5-minute chart here. Oh, it's 3 hours. Whoops, wrong chart. I'm gonna get back to 5 minute. Here we go. I still think this looks like a good possibility for this target. May be a little bit aggressive, but it's also right down here where this whole price should retest this area. It's still maintaining the trend line. It's been hit a couple of times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times on the last 20 minutes. It's been hit. I say we do have consolidation of our moving averages. If we get the green to cross over the back over the yellow, you can see right now so far the green still has not crossed over the yellow, even on the 5-minute. On the 1-minute chart, let's see where it's at on here. This one's looking better. See how it tried to break it right here. It couldn't break it. Came back through. Here's where it broke to go to the short side. It came up, retesting the 62. Came up, couldn't cross over the yellow yet. Still hasn't crossed over the yellow. And now they're starting to point back down. So we have the 62, the 13, the 5, all moving in the correct direction. So we're taking a little bit of a heat, but at the same token, we're only looking at 3 pips, which is really twice the spread. Here we're at the apex of where we had the trend line, where we had the lower trend line for the original wedge. Here's our wedge alert. And here's the trend that is developing since the wedge on the upside, but now it's coming back. And now you have both of these are consolidating right at this point right here. Move my trap down a little bit. My trap's getting lower and lower as we progress to the right side of the chart. Look and check where our fib lines are. We have some 5-minute fib lines. We're right at a 2-minute, a green fib line. The 5 minutes on. We have a red fib line right down here, right near where our first 7 pip target is. Right now, I'd be looking at a visual stop. Obviously, if I get a close above this area right here, I'd be looking at a This is my stop zone. Right now it hasn't. If I got to close up inside this trap with some strong momentum with the RSIs pointing up, I'd probably just bail on this and reassess. Right now I'm still okay with this trade. Once this thing came back up, here's the new wedge target right in here. Remeasure that. I think that moved on me. This is kind of a deciding point right here where we have all these trend lines meeting together. Seeing what it does. This first yellow line is where the B reference is. But as this thing went further away, this target, we have a little bit more room to this, actually this little target right in here. Right now from the break of this apex to the B, we've got our 5 pips target right there. Now I got in over here, so I can't really count that, but this is, as you see this, as the wedge gets further and further down the road from the, it still gave you some opportunities to get in.
Oh, look at that! Look at how it rejected to how it failed to pass the 1 minute 62. That's pretty good. And now you got a gap between the 1 minute 62, the 13, and the 5. So we'll see what happens.
Big thing is have your plan, trade your plan. If you get stopped out, you get stopped out, but know that it was part of your plan. Your plan doesn't always work 100% of the time, but if your plan should be at least 60% effective. Let's see what a 5-minute chart looks like. Sometimes it's better just go back on the 5-minute chart. It doesn't get you quite so crazy.
I would absolutely agree with that. You sit on the lower time frames, you go kooky.
Right now, there's no reason to get out of this trade other than to give it time to develop.
So that candle's
Aussie,
about to close.
How's our Aussie doing here? Aussie's still
meandering.
Oh, Swiss. We have the Swiss here.
No, Swiss, yeah.
Yeah, we still haven't got our alert yet, so we're still good there. We never did do the Aussie, but we'll just stay with this one since we've taken a trade off of this one.
And since the Aussie is going to move less at this time of day than the CAD or any of the other ones other than Kiwi, it's better just to stick with the ones that move more during the sessions that you're trading.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That way you don't get stuck in consolidation.
Let's also keep the stick at the original point where it broke the wedge, which is off just before this big red candle. I'll just keep the wedge target pretty much right off of that, which is still our first target right down here. Right now you see that we've got the crossover of the MSIs or the RSIs, and the blue one's coming out of that 40-60 range. And if we can get this one more push down, you'll probably start seeing it really develop. Pretty much just, you see it like in this area right here, you had the crossover, you had the 8 period coming out of the 40. That was right at the bottom of that push to the downside. And you can see that the RSI has not come back above, they've not closed it back above the 40-60 range since that push down. Let's take a look and see what the higher time frame trend is on the let's go back a little bit further and see if there's another pivot over on to the left of us here. Nothing for a while. In fact, there's more of a pivot this way, actually. We have a pivot here. We have one down here. This is a real volatile currency. Remember, this is a Monday morning. It's the last day of the month. And you're going to see some movements like this where it could be real volatile or it could just be a real snoozer it could just stay in a very tight trading range as positions are being closed out and new positions are being opened up. So it's coming down to retest that this red candle. Coming up on the 9 o'clock hour. It's 15 minutes before 9 o'clock. This may be that push to give us our target. Now it's starting to develop for us. Right now it's going to retest the bottom of these two wicks right here. See if we can get a close. Got a 1 minute close. See, our RSIs are coming back out off that 40-60 range, still in the right direction. Our moving averages are in the right direction. We have our 62 on our 5-minute chart way up here. We've got the 513 cross in the right direction. So right now everything is looking good for the downside on this trade. We had the cross of those trend lines. We had the retest inside this little wedge right in here. Came back up, retested the wedge again. And it's retesting this B level. If we can get a close below these two, this bottom right here, we can get a nice slow close. We should be able to come down where it may go and retest. Gives our next fib line is going to be right here on the red fib line. This is a 5-minute red. Should get a little bounce test, pass and come back and check. It may check and keep on going back up, or it may check it and come back down to retest the blue fib line, which I believe is probably sitting right on top of this. Imagine that. I wonder how that happened. That's not the blue fib line. Where'd that one come from? It's not the fib line. Huh. Oh, that's probably the target. That's probably yeah. That's what that is. That's the target. Coming down, retesting the fib line right here at the 29.47 area. And so this is our target one. This is our 7 pip target right here. We got a lower close. And as you look at this, here's a high, here's a low, here's a lower high, here's a lower low, here's a lower high, and we just made a lower low. And right now, the highest close is right off of this blue candle. You can use that as our stop zone. Move this back over and move this down to there. And if you want, you can always move this down a little bit closer just to tuck it in a little bit closer. Now you have a 4 pip stop as opposed to a 7 or 10. We got in at 53. Right now the price is at 48. So right now you're up. You've got your 5 pips already right now. If you want to lock in 5 pips, you could do it right now. You can wait and see if you can get your 7 pips. That's what our target is. And we have about 9 more minutes before the 9 o'clock candle opens. We're on the last 9 minutes of the hourly candle on this one. Let's take a look at our Swiss. See how's our Swiss is starting to come up. It's just about ready to give us a little alert coming in here. Right around 9 o'clock again. 9 o'clock, I think, is significant because that's when I believe the futures market opens up. So the Chicago Board of Chicago Mercantile Exchange for the oil is will open up around 9 o'clock. No oil futures, which is has a lot to do with the Canadian economy. That's why I think you see a lot of these big moves on some of these pairs at right around 9 o'clock.
Absolutely correct. I forget what percentage it has to do with our economy up here in Canada, but I think it might be something like 30% of our exports have to do with around that. So it's significant, very significant.
Like I say, if you want to just go for your daily bread, you just move your stop up here, your target right up here to your 7-pip line. There's 7 pips. Modify it, 7 pips, get your daily bread, you get your 2%, and you're done for the day. And right now, I'd be moving this thing to break even. If it can't take this at this point in time, I'm going to move it because I don't want to lose on this winning trade. And right now, that will lock in at least, let's lock in 2 pips. 1.8. Please pay your spread. If this thing bounces and closes above this red line, I'm just going to bail on this and wait for another chance to get in. I don't like making winning trades turn into losing trades.
Yeah, there's nothing that makes you feel 2 feet tall like that, doesn't it?
Yeah. And remember, it's got to go through almost, right now they're widening the spread a little bit as its 9 o'clock hour opens. It's widening the spread. It has to clear through in order to get that spread. And at this point, I'm just going to take the profit. Boom, I'm done. Oops, done right here. Close it out. Keep turning the wrong one. There we go. And what's interesting is right as it was coming down here, if you watch this spread up here, you could see like it's been hanging right around 1.3, 1.4. And as soon as it got down here, the spread went up to 1.7, 1.8. It wasn't, and it would have had to go through that 1.8 in order to get that target filled. Now will it come back through and retest it? Yeah, good chance. And I say if you wanted to, if this RSI comes up, hooks in the up to this 80 and 75, 89 area and it hooks, that'd be another chance to take another shot at it. Or you could look at a break below here. You could try and do a buy stop below, right just below this where it bounced. So you could do a sell stop, I meant, right at the, say the 29.45 level. 29.45, let's just do 45. And that way, if it comes through, it'll come back all the way down and we could pick up those extra pips that we preserved on the other side. There's a store stop zone up here. And how's our Swiss doing? Still doing about the same. I'll put this on a 5-minute chart and see what we can come up with. Move this over here to this wedge area. And we'll look and see where this pivot is over here, right? This high, pivot high right there. We have another little zone. I'm on this Swiss chart just in case you missed that. And this would be our trap. All right, now if you could extend this wedge out all the way up to the top up here. Move this down to this. See how many of these pivots you can connect. You see it's sort of breaking out up in this area. Back to our Canadian. There it broke out, back in the trade again. See how this thing broke and I had it all the way down here? If I still it looks like it's the price is all the way down here before I even got to break even on this. That's the spread. And I'll put some targets and stops in here. I'll go 7-pip target. I'll go with a 5-pip stop. We don't want to get back all of our gains that we had. And look and see where the next Fibonacci line is. Here's the red one, here's the green one. Let's go to 2-minute fib marks. And I'm gonna put it on down to here. And I think we've got lots of room to the downside on this. What do you say, Matt?
I absolutely think so. I think it's got lots of room. I'm happy with the trade thus far.
And we're coming up. We just crossed over a 9 o'clock hour.
All right, target hit.
All right. And right up to the top of this zone right here. And I'm going to move this down to break even so we don't lose anything on this one. And if it comes down anywhere close to this, if it doesn't take it out by itself, I'm going to take it out myself.
And that's why we don't set and forget, right, Al? When
Yeah.
we're looking for very tight entries and exits, we don't sit around and just set and forget. It just doesn't work that way very well.
And this one you can see where it's sort of stalling here. I'm okay with it. I'm going to leave a little bit for the next guy. Because I just sold it to, I just closed it out to somebody who took the trade, and now I'm going to let them make a little profit. And that was a nice little winning trade. That's a nice little trade there. Now we move on to the next one. Let's see the Aussie, the Swiss franc, it came back up, never did. Now it's looking to break out the bottom over here. Everything's still strong. Let me see what it looks like on another chart here. Still looking strong to the downside on this one.
Ooh, wow, look at that thing just melt.
Yep.
US CAD just dropped what, 15 pips, and it's a landslide. Yep.
Yep. There we go. And right here, this is right where I had my target. I just didn't decide when this candle stopped and just stopped there. I didn't see any reason to go for another couple pips just to fight this. Here's our green fib line. We have our green fib line right here. Now this is the bottom. The bottom of this green area right here is the bottom of where that hourly candle. That's the very low of the hourly candle where this trend line here is coming from. That was our trade of the day right there. Now we still have 20 minutes to go.
Yeah. And a whole much more of the day.
I'm going to draw this stick over here with the full length of this A and see what it looks like on the target zone. Right down, did it off the higher part, the aggressive side of the wedge versus the medium side of the wedge. When I draw these sticks, I usually go with the medium, right from the A to the B to the C, the middle part. I use the B as my target. That's the mid range. This would be the aggressive, medium, and then this would be the D to the top, which would be the most conservative. I usually take it from the
I take it from the middle. I usually take it from the middle. I've just found that it works. It's higher probability than going from the beginning.
I'm just kind of curious to see if this will double it. I like these fib lines. Here's the blue fib line right down here. Here's your, this should be a 5-minute blue, I'll bet. Let me get to put this on a 5-minute chart. This is a 5-minute green. So here's a 5-minute red up here. Here's the 5-minute green right down here. Let's see if we can get down to that one. I like the 5 minutes because it gives us 21 pips in between the lines. I like the 2 minutes because it shows me my 7 pip target zones. This is a 5-minute green right there. And that's all I have to say about that. And that was the last trade alert that we've had this morning. Do we have anybody have any questions? Questions, Con? Anybody else? Anybody take the trade on this one this morning with us? A little slow in the response area. That's okay. Oh. We've been very cautious lately about watching for head fakes. I really like the idea of using these trap areas for areas to either enter the trade or to use it as our stop area if the trade goes against us. So often we're seeing where it comes up and just breaks out of the wedge, gets everybody sucked into the trade. Even like this one right down here, this was almost like a trap. We had the break. The only difference here was we had the momentum on our side to the downside. When that broke, everything was still moving to the downside. But where we had the alert, you can see where we had the alert, it broke. Then the other part is be the trap. And like so, like using the C to the trend line, either to the top of the wedge. If this A were up a little bit higher, for example, then I would like to have the trap up around this area to the where the A is. Since our A was down so low right here at the bottom, then I was just using the trend line. Any questions about that? How I determine these areas? Here's a high, here's a pivot high, came back down, retested the wedge. Actually, the wedge was down here. But like over here right now, if I were to had that wedge drawn in this area like this, I'm looking at here's a drop, here's a little base, here's a drop, coming back up to retest the base, and I'm going to be looking at this area for the area for the it's you could call it a trap, you can call it a retest area. Either one would be appropriate. Because really what it is, we had the drop, the base, drop, came back, retested, came back, dropped, retested it again, came back down, retested it, and as this retest area was held,
US Swiss and US CAD are moving very similarly. They're like brothers.
That's till I see this thing break to the downside.
Yes, sir.
Before I would try to take it. I'll just let it do its little thing in between here.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for something really specific, but before I would enter again, because I've already satisfied my
this was 7:45. We had the alert 7:45. We had an anchor, a hit. There was the closest to the alert. It was an ascending wedge. Here's the anchor. Here's the hit. Not confirmed because and we also have our 5 minutes 62 coming right up here. So we have the 30-minute, which is right where it came. It broke. And let's see. And here was the top of where the higher time frame wedge was, which is what we were looking for it to come up to. It kind of tested it, but never really did. But it did come up and test this little area right here where you had this wick. Here's the we had a drop. came back up, tested the 62, came back down, tested, broke the 62, but couldn't break this wick here. Strong candle wick. Here, back, and here's the body of the candle, and it came right back up and retested into this area right in here. And let's see if there's a fib line right anywhere near there. But if I do a 2-minute fib line, it's probably right in the middle of that. And we got the red fib line right smack dab right where this thing came in. And you could have taken this thing where this wick over here, this wick came up. It couldn't take this out. You could, I mean, this would be okay to move it on up a little, just give you a little bit more room. But to see this wick came up, it couldn't break through here. So this was the last highs before the pullback.
Well, we got another alert.
Well, we did. We just we did. I'm still seeing the U.S. CAD at 8:15. Are you sure?
Yeah, it just told me.
9:15. Yeah, you're right. It did. Oh, gold USD.
Well, I think Ava would love to see that one.
I'll bet she would. Let's go and pull that one up. Since we're done with this trade, this one's over. Let's take a look at the gold, see what that one's telling us.
Now, if anyone wants to continue playing in that direction, I would only be taking shorts on the pullbacks. So, totally up to a person what they want to do. For me, I'm satisfied with where it's been at.
Yes, this was 9:15. We have a gold, and it's ascending. That means it's going from low to high at our triangle. So here's a low, here's a high, here's a low, here's a high, here's our wedge. Both trend lines are pointing in the upper direction. Looking at the higher time frame, we can see it has somewhat of a downtrend going because we're looking at our 30-minute 62 is in a downtrend. That's off our 15-minute chart. We had a nice basing drop. And here's a little drop. Here's a little basing area, drop, base, drop. I like this little blue candle, this single blue candle in here. I'm going to draw and make a reference to that. Yeah, gold's been dropping a little bit since the last couple of days. It made a high, it broke over 19, now it's coming back down. I don't know that it's done with its high or if it's going to, I suspect it may have some upside potential still. But it's been taking some pretty strong hits here these last couple of days. So we have a higher time frame. We have a wick here. We have a wick here. We have a wick here. Let's draw a line, see if we can connect, how many we can connect. There's a wick. That one breached, system took off. This one made a lower high. We're going to hang on to that one. And there's nothing over here yet. This is the trend, not confirmed. But here's our 30-minute 62. On the bottom part, I've got another trend line from here down to here, but sort of flattening out on the bottom. If we could take and draw a triangle from here's a low, here's a high, here's a equal low, and we could be looking at it in that direction. I'll make this one a little different color. And let's see, I still like, well, basically what's happening is we have, let me just take this off. This is just getting too busy in there. But here's our wedge. We have a low here, and you can see that this low, if you look at my cursor, is the same low. So I'm going to move this one over here a little bit if I can. And I can't because it's going to move my triangle. So basically, if it breaks this area, this AC area, I'd like to see it close below. And you see, I'm also looking at all these bodies of these candles. These are all wicks all the way down to here. I like to see it close inside this box before I would take it short. And so enter to on close. The reason why I'm saying that is because so far it has not closed below this red candle. That's the lowest close it has, and it keeps bouncing back up. So there's been some buyers in this area. I'm gonna move this over. This could be a little trap area actually. Let's see what we're having a crossover of on a 15-minute, we're getting the 5 and 13 crossing. I'm going to call this a trap as opposed to I think it's got more room to the upside because we've got the 30-minute 62 up here. And that's a $10 move. $10 on gold is a big move. Let me see what else we have here. Yeah, I like this move to the upside. I'm like the break to the upside better than I do. I'd look at this as being a trap, and this could be a possible break of a trend line. I'd like to see it close above the 15-minute 62 before I took it long. If it does get to do that, then I'd be looking at the 30-minute 62 for a target on this. I have all of our moving averages on our 1 minute. They've all crossed over. We have the green, yellow, white. They had the crossover. It bounced off the 62. Our RSIs are up top. I like to see this buoy come pull back down, hook, and then come back up to take it long. But we still have this trend line right here we have to deal with. If we get a bounce off of that, we could get a confirmation of this trend line. This looks like an equal high right there. I have a little bit of a wick. And I would say that we have a possibility of having a trap right up in this area by this trend line. Let's look at a higher time frame. Here's a nice little wick. Let's see, this is a trend. This is a drop, basing drop, came back up. This could be a retest area. Looks like almost like a double trap.
That's some good analysis, Al. It looks like a nice long.
I think it's going to be, it could stay within this range right in here.
I should go talk to
Jackie,
see what she thinks. She's the gold and indices queen. She's been obliterating it.
Yeah, I look at this as that's range bound right now. Once it breaks out of this range, then we could be going lower. We have this pivot down here. You can see this point, this pivot, and this pivot right at the same point. So you have a double bottom right there. And you actually have a little bit of a consolidation where this could actually be the beginning of a third wave coming up, right? Actually, to go long. I like it long and I don't like it short. Let me see if there's any harmonics on this. Nothing recently. I like when you see a move down like this, you come back up and a retest. You can see where this A did not break below this pivot. This pivot did not break below this. This is the area where I'm starting to look for a ABC or 1, 2, 3 type of a trend on it. Where I'd be looking at this would be a, let me think. This is the down move. This would be the anchor. Here's 1, 2, 3. Retest this area 4. Retest that area 5. And I'll move this 3 right at just a little bit above where this pivot is here. Like it right here where it retests that 62. Just be careful when it crosses through here. See how our RSIs are? On this pullback right here, you can see this thing got all the way back down to the 75 area. It crossed over, came back up. Now this thing is starting to trend over here. We have this, we have a low here, which is the retrace extreme right here. And then we have a higher low, a higher low, a higher low. So we have a little bit of a trend going on this direction. We take it all the way back to this one. It's a hit. Here's a hit. Here's a hit. Not quite. Now it's starting to bounce off. This is not ready to go short. Now this one you could actually start looking at taking it long on the break of this purple wedge. Remember, this one was not confirmed to be a trend line. I'll move all this out of the way so you can see it better. And we have about 3 more minutes before we're going to wrap this session up. Any last questions before we go today? Remember, it's the last day of the month. It's November 30th, last day of the month. First day tomorrow is of the next month, and first day of the week. Lots of volatility possibilities. We had some good trades this morning, but just don't overtrade. And if you're profitable for the month, you may want to be happy with where you're at and wait for tomorrow to start a new month.
Absolutely.
I do like this possibility of this thing going long on this. And I would be looking at this point right up here for a possible target. If you do take a long, I'd be looking at this for your first target. And I'll bet there's a Fibonacci close by. Here's the blue fib line. This is a 5-minute blue, and it may even be a 15-minute. Let's see where the 15 minutes are. Here's a 5-minute blue, 15-minute blue right here. That's a strong area. And here's a 15-minute green. And you should all have these. And here's green, blue. Here's the 15-minute red. If you mark the 15-minute ones and put a line and lock them in, then you can put your 5-minute and you can see the areas in between.
Yeah, Beach Panda. I'm not comfortable in the gold world yet, so that's why I don't trade it too much. I don't think I've ever actually taken a trade on gold. I guess I'm staying a little bit in my comfort zone. Well, I guess we're pretty much done there, Al.
I think we are. It is 9:30. The market has opened up. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming in today. I appreciate all the participation that you give us, and keep your powder dry. Happy trading. Hope you made some money today, and we'll see everybody tomorrow. Have a
All
good
right,
day.
we'll catch you guys all around soon. Bye.